All right, we'll get started here in just about 1 minute for the TV side, and we'll be ready to roll. A lot to talk about here, live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Been a fun Friday morning.
It always is.
Some better than others, I'll say that. You running it?
No.
Okay, well, I'll start. 15 seconds. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz live on location here at JR Sports Bar and Grill. We are glad that you join us each and every day here at noon. And again, always appreciate JR Sports Bar and Grill when we're able to come out and be on location. Going to get some of the great food that they always have here. Been partnered with us for a long time, and really, really appreciative. Also, thanks to the Glenda Mitchell Law Firm, the presenting partner for us on everything Auburn Blitz, and we really appreciate Glenda and her entire team. And again, we will talk about her along with a lot of other partners here on the program each and every day. We're also brought to you by J.A. Smith Construction and Excavation and
Sensa Green for air that's cool and clean. Call in Sensa Green.
yes, and I'll turn off my text. It's just right on cue every time we get on. It feels like everybody wants to text me and let me know they're watching. So that's great. I appreciate it. But this morning had a great podcast. I thought had a lot to talk about as we creep closer to spring football and we look at what Byron Brown, the list that came out with him being one of the top 10 quarterbacks, but also some other points that we want to talk about here on the show today. We didn't get to as President Trump is meeting with a panel here in just a little bit at the White House to discuss how screwed up college athletics is, Faith, to be honest with you. And it's something that's long overdue. And, you know, for it to get to this point, there's some heavy hitters in the room. I talked about it on Gary Harris's show this morning in Tuscaloosa. And when you look at it, you know, Charlie Baker's there, the president of the NCAA, Tiger Woods is there, Nick Saban's there, Urban Meyer, and you keep going down the list. It's a bunch of people. There's some sports reporter guys there. I think, and Gary asked me, so what do you think is going to come of this? And I said, well, I think that this is the time for Charlie Baker to stand up and say, look, if we're going to continue to get overruled by the court systems, then somebody in here tell us what we need to do as a governing body. Now, again, I know they've been a terrible governing body for a long time, but now that they've tried to step up and do a few things, every time they do something, they just get their feet cut out from under.
Yeah, that's where the biggest line needs to be drawn in the sand of what is right and what's wrong so that people can't keep going and suing the NCAA. And things are different for some circumstances and not for others. I mean, that's kind of where the whole question mark, I think, remains. And so having, again, things written in paper of what you can and cannot do so that people can't just turn around and sue the NCAA. What other answer is there?
Yeah, I don't know really. So I think when President Trump does things, he gets a lot of results, obviously, on multiple fronts. And I really feel like that he will sit down with this group and expect this group to come together with some type of parameters to follow. Maybe not today, but it's really the court system versus the NCAA. That's where we are right now in this thing. And until I don't know turning over everything. Nick Saban has no power over a court system.
Right.
You know, he got out of college football because he can't deal with it anymore. So if anything, he ran away from it. So just like a lot of coaches are doing, and a lot of people, the problem is nobody knows who can fix it. So it's made it to the president's desk, and him creating a group that can at least sit down and discuss what all they are seeing that are the problems. But again, the court system seemed to rule every decision that's made, and you've said it more than anybody, that, oh, I don't get the decision I want here, I'll just take it up the ladder a notch, or I'll just go over here until I get the answer that I'm looking for, and then everything will be okay. But you see the NCAA kind of fighting back with this Trinidad Chambliss thing right now.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is throughout all of this, there has to be some sort of agreement that either alums or donors cannot be involved on the court's behalf, whether it's the judge or whoever, because I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, first of all, that should be an ethics violation. There is a such thing as ethics. I think that's still out there. But if a judge is supposed to recuse themselves if they have a vested interest or a conflict of interest involved in whatever they're dealing with. That's the way it's supposed to be. But obviously, that doesn't really mean anything anymore. So,
because they keep going after these sought out judges that are, publicly donors or publicly alums, and then saying, okay, well, I'm going to bring it to this judge so that they can rule it, me eligible or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm interested to see if any kind of substantive conversations come out of it. I really think, Trump calling this will carry a lot of weight. And are you going to make that next step toward saying, okay, this really isn't an amateur sport anymore? It is like a semi-pro deal, and let's approach it that way. And if we're going to continue, the thing is they're trying to address is how absurd the rules of transferring and the payments to players has gotten without any parameters.
Well, I think now too, you have Mississippi not taxing NIL income, and for the states that you don't have state income tax, it's not a problem for those people. But for Mississippi specifically, if you have somebody that's working as a doctor, a teacher, whatever, they're getting taxed on their income tax. But then you have a football player or basketball player that is making $1 million. They're not getting taxed at all on that because it's NIL income. Like, to me, that's also where the confusion kicks back up of like, why just for NIL you can't have income tax on it?
And again, I said this multiple times. The pendulum was too far against the players back in the day, and now it's too far in favor of the players. They have all the power. They used to have no power. They used to be at the mercy. She's about to mix up a drink, so it's going to be loud. I'm just warning everybody. So, perfect time. It just goes right along with the way the days go. But,
okay, I'll speak. It is, back then it was where the players didn't have much of a say in things, and then now they have too much of a say to where there's no authority, and there's these kids that are anywhere from 18 to 26 years old bossing these people around who are supposed to be helping them grow to get to the next level. And I think that's also been lost in this whole thing.
Well, instead they're trying to find more loopholes to give them everything they're asking for.
Right.
So this sport desperately needs some leadership. I'm just gonna, we can talk this thing to death. I think it's nice that they're having a meeting today, but this is a very broken sport, and it has gotten so far out of control. And Ed O'Bannon started all this when EA Sports put his picture on the front of college basketball, the video game. And he said, well, you know what? I don't get – and right, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying it started, and from there to now has exploded into something that is way beyond a circus that we could even imagine. Nobody could have imagined that we would go from literally the rules we used to have to where we are now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it was supposed to be used for something completely different than what it is now. And because it was supposed to be used to help these kids and, pay them for signed autographs, jerseys, whatever it might be. And then now it's literally pay for play, come here, we'll give you this much money. And it's just, it's taken too far.
It is. So we'll continue to cover that, and we'll watch that and see how that plays out. Today, I'm sure there'll be a lot of quotes coming out of that we'll talk about next week. And but won't be a solution today, but the conversation starting really collectively with a group. Hopefully, the biggest power players in the business. So we'll see how it all works out. But all right, we are going to go ahead and go to break here. They're hopping here at JR's, as you can hear today. It is packed, and there's a lot of things going on, which is great. Proud for them. You need to come out to JR Sports Bar and Grill, take advantage of the great food, the great atmosphere, all the things that they have going on here. I'm going to have some of that great food here in just a little bit. It will definitely be the bright spot of the day to this point, without a doubt. All right, we're going to take a break. Stay tuned. More to come here on the Auburn Blitz right after this. Yeah, just a drink. That's fine.
What you want? Okay, you want a Diet Coke in the bottom?
Yeah, you just get it in the bottom. Yep. Here at JR Sports Bar and Grill, everybody, just make sure you, if you're in Alexander City, you take advantage of the great food, the great atmosphere, everything. NCAA tournament time's coming up. Got the conference tournament's coming up next week. Then it'll be ready for March Madness. We'll be doing some stuff, maybe some giveaway stuff and a contest like we normally do. Haven't even thought about it, to be honest, at this point. We've had so much other stuff going on. But we'll try to do something like we always do for fun for March Madness. So everybody stay with us on that. And July 2020 football rosters were costing about $8 million. No, I mean, it's driving 200 miles an hour when you know you're about to go off a cliff, and you just keep pressing the pedal to the metal. Everybody's used that word unsustainable for about 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, and then now costing $50 million. That's crazy.
And it's like I told everybody a few weeks ago, you think that number's going to go backwards.
That's why I don't know if there's really a solution for all of this, because what are you going to do? Completely wipe out NIL?
just think whoever, I don't know. I was going to say something probably a little inappropriate, so I'll just refrain. It's one of those Fridays. No, it's not sustainable. I'm saying that we've used the word sustainable for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's not sustainable. I'm agreeing with you, Ed. I don't know if it came out wrong or whatever. It's just like it continues to go higher and higher and higher, and it's at some point in time you got to put a ceiling on it. Not saying people. I know though an analogy of toothpaste being out of the tube, but you're gonna have to figure out a way to get it back in the tube a little bit. You just can't keep saying that.
I've got it going.
Do what?
30.
Yep, you count it in.
Well, I mean, are you going to be the one? Yeah, we've got.
Thank you so much. I got it. 20.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz. 45 minutes left in the show today. We are live. I am, rather, live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill in Alexander City, and we appreciate them so very much. Our program brought to you by J.A. Smith Construction and Excavation. No job is too big or too small for them. They handle residential and commercial. I'm actually going to go meet with Alexander a little bit later this afternoon. So appreciate them and everything that they have going on with their business, and glad to be partnered with them, and glad to be partnered with
Sensagreen for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensagreen. This weather is getting back up to as hot as it can get, because that's how it works down here in the South. So you want a reliable unit, you're going to get a Carrier unit from Sensagreen. They are going to save you hundreds of dollars, and they are also the reliable heating, cooling, insulation people for you in Auburn, Lake Martin, all the surrounding areas.
Saw something that came out last night, and if there's a program in South Carolina called the South Carolina Gamecocks that they're in misery right now. And I know that Auburn people feel like they've kind of been in misery over the last few years, and we have football wise, but basketball, baseball have been fine. Again, basketball has taken a little bit of a step back this year based on where we've been, but it's still, I mean, you're still right there with a game on Saturday. Legitimately, I think you get in the tournament. But saw this on South Carolina. Since January 1 of 25, their men's basketball program, football and baseball, have combined for 88 games against Power Conference competition. The record is 15-73. That means a 17% win percentage that they've seen. Their record against SEC opponents is 9-50. And when I go back and look, they put some pictures up. Like literally was nobody at the South Carolina baseball game either Tuesday or Wednesday. I mean, nobody. It's just completely empty. And their basketball arena has been pretty much empty all year. And their football program had high expectations this past year. They didn't achieve that. So they've been dealing with some of the things that we talk about on our side. But I did the research, Faith, on us, and it is not quite as bad. Now, I just did overall record. I didn't do Power 5. I just went overall. Here's what Auburn is in the big three sports since January of 25. They're obviously football. They were 5-7, 1-7 in conference play. That didn't help our cause. But then in baseball, 41-20 last year, 10-2 in conference. This year, or 17-13 in conference. This year, currently 10-2 on the season. So, hey, Butch Thompson has it going. Went to a super regional last year. Basketball last year, just counting the January games, you were 20-5, and you happened to be 20-5 in league play, because the 20 wins were league wins. Even Florida, the loss in the tournament, whatever, and the 5 losses were all tournament all SEC losses. And then currently you're 16-14, 7-10 in league play. That's 112 and 48 overall mark, and that's 45 and 35 in SEC games. Not great, not terrible either, but you've had a really tail end of one good basketball season and a really good baseball season in there and a horrible football season. South Carolina has nothing to hang its hat on, Faith.
Yeah, no. It's been tough for them. But, I mean, as long as right now for Auburn, you can say, okay, we're not there. So you've got something to be happy about. You've got something to, know that you're not so far down at the bottom that what Auburn has right now is what you're yearning for, because you obviously want to do better than how it's going. But 2 new coaches, you can see the one sport that has the same coach for the last couple of years, the consistency from them has helped.
There's something to be said about that. And again, you had a transition. So how does Stephen Pearl, and we'll carry this over into the next segment too, how does Stephen Pearl fare versus other first-year head coaches at other programs, and what did they do and what kind of results did they get? Well, let's go to Eric Musselman when he was at Arkansas. Year 1, he was 20-12, and they didn't make the tournament. Now, again, 20-12 is a good record, but their schedule was weak as water, and the 12 losses were against the better team. So you see that from time to time. Teams will have great records, they didn't play anybody, and that tournament committee goes, well, we're not going to reward you for a weak schedule. Will Wade, when he was at LSU, he went 18-15, no tournament. Year 2, he was 28-7 in a number 3 seed. And let me go back to Eric Musselman. He was 25-7 in a number 2 seed. And then you had Rick Barnes at Tennessee, Faith.
Yeah, his first year, 15-19, no tournament. Year 2, 16-16, no tournament. Year 3, 26-9, 3 seed.
Okay, we got a couple more that I want to talk about when we come back from break, because we're about to be up against another break. But just those 3 guys, wouldn't you say they were all successful? Will Wade had LSU. Boy, I told you that the other day at the game. I said longer the days of Will Wade at LSU, because that program has fallen to the dump. But he took them to a height that they had not been to in a long time. We know what Rick Barnes has done at Tennessee, obviously, has had them consistently there at the top of this conference over the last 5 to 6 years. Patience, you have to be patient. Now, again, I know that Bruce Pearl came out and was on a show the other day and talked about a lot of different things. It was really iffy. So, and he just came out and pretty much said, yeah, I had a lot to do with him getting the job. And, I was asked that question on Gary's show this morning, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, to be honest, just his frontness about it. But, hey, look, he was honest about it. And he said, look, I did this and I had a big say in this. And that's why he was asking me, did I think he did his son any favors by coming out and being that blunt about it? And I frankly, I don't know. I think time will only tell in that, because I think Stephen understands the pressure he's under, Faith. But you got to let him get his guys in here and let him have at least 1 year of nothing but him and his footprint and his fingerprints.
Yeah, 100%. I think you can't really judge too much of it until he's been able to create his own team, staff, whatever it might be, and at least have, a few years under his belt. And that's been something that no one wants to hear. No one wants to be patient in that aspect. But how else are you going to see results? Results don't happen overnight.
They don't. And again, there was another I guess, analysts that came out, and I shared that with you yesterday, that really pounded Bruce Pearl and the whole situation. And, from a national standpoint, there are some people taking some shots right now at this. But my whole point in saying this is that take all that away. You got to give – he's your head basketball coach. You got to give him a fair shot. And you look at some of these other guys that we're talking about and what they did in year one, versus year two, year three. If you cut somebody loose, and I'm not saying that's what – because Auburn's not going to do that. But patience ended up being a virtue in the long run. So we got a couple more that I want to talk about when we come back. We're going to go ahead and go to break here on the show. We're live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. It is hopping here. It is so much going on. It's great. I'm glad. Hey, look, I like the sound coming from the bar because that's the sound of money. That means they got people rolling in and a lot of great things going on. Great food here. Check them out in downtown Allen City. We're going to take a break. Stay tuned. More to come here on the Auburn Blitz right after this. But, yeah, it kind of raised the point of, hey, look, it's almost like the attitude of, hey, if you're going to say that about us, then I'm just going to say, yeah, this is what we did. And this is how we did it. And he understands the pressure, and he's got to go fulfill his duties now. So,
yeah, I mean, good for him for being honest about it.
He's always going to – I don't think he's ever going to try to deceive people the way he feels and where he is.
No, I don't think so. Trying to see if I have a blanket nearby.
What now?
I said I'm trying to see if I have a blanket nearby. I'm cold.
Is it freezing in there?
Yeah, because it's so hot outside. So we just cut the AC on.
That hot over there?
It is so hot.
80s?
And it's so humid right now because we're about to have a big storm. It was thundering earlier.
Okay. She's in Alaska, by the way, everybody. So,
yeah.
It's hot this time of year in Alaska.
Is it bright this time of year in Alaska?
If I told you anything, it'd be a lie because I don't know.
I have no idea.
Been a busy week for us in Birmingham as well. So, my gosh. Any particular reason we got that? Man, what a Friday.
I just saw that Ryan Williams is changing his name on his jersey to Ryan Coleman Williams to honor his mom's side of the family. So instead of Ryan Williams, everyone's going to be referring to him now, I guess, as Ryan Coleman Williams.
Can't tell you how much I don't care about that.
And didn't he just get married too?
I guess maybe. Again, on a scale of 1 to 10, that's probably like at a -5 if it's that high.
Yeah, she's in. It makes it so much easier.
Did you start it?
5 seconds.
Okay.
We got something different. Yeah, we got the snack on.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz. Halfway through our program, we're live on location here at JR's Sports Bar and Grill. We appreciate them so very much. It's just a great place to come and have lunch, have dinner, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. It is the place to be if you come to downtown Alexander City. Big-time partners of ours for over 20 years on everything we've done, so we appreciate them so very much. It's also halfway through our show, and we appreciate
Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine. We were just talking with Paula and Kathy not too long ago about what we're going to be doing for baseball because, of course, we have to continue the partnership with them. We've been having such a great time. And when we were talking, or you were just talking about doing the basketball giveaway, I think, of course, there's going to have to be some Pepper Tree gift.
there was last year, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to have to be in there this year. I know a lot of people are going to be excited about that. I know I am. I wish I could be a part of it solely just for the gift certificates.
You already get it all given to you anyway.
I know, but talking about baseball, so excited for what we're going to be able to do in our partnership with them. And even just talking about it, I'm starting to get hungry. So let's just go on back.
Shift gears
Yeah.
back. All right, going back to what we were talking about before the break. There are, again, in year 1 to year 2, Eric Musselman, Will Wade, Rick Barnes. What about Todd Golden? Todd Golden.
I'm sorry, I started reading Ed's comment.
That's okay.
And he started. So sorry.
You want me to continue, or you want to?
Todd Golden in his first year, 16 and 17, no tournament. Year 2, 24 and 12, 7th seed.
What if Florida fans would have gone, Todd Golden's terrible. Let's get rid of him. And then, of course, that's year 2, and then won a national title last year.
Yeah.
So it ended up paying out for them. And then Nate Oates across the state.
16,
He comes in.
15, no tournament in his first year.
So Alabama coming off a bad run of basketball. They hire a guy from Buffalo to come in and coach their basketball team, and he goes 16 and 15 in year 1. And then he flips the script the next year, as you said.
26 and 7, a 2 seed.
You have to give people a chance. Like,
Yeah.
whether you liked how it happened, and that was what somebody asked me the other day. I said, regardless of how something goes down, you have to deal with the circumstances. So this is what the circumstances are at Auburn. Stephen Pearl's the head coach. He's got to be given a fair opportunity to be successful. He's still got a chance to do something no other coach has ever done and take a team to the NCAA tournament in his first year. A win tomorrow, I feel like Auburn warrants that opportunity. Now, again, they've had some terrible losses coming down the stretch that may overshadow some of the quality things, but you will have had 2 quad 1 wins in your last 6 matchups. Now, you've had a quad 3 loss also in Ole Miss, but you still got to the 3-3 mark in the last 6 games, and you still finished 17 and 14 if you win on Saturday. And then you get to go into the SEC tournament. And I feel like if you've won 2 games in a row, you're probably going to be on a little bit of a momentum swing. So you can go in and maybe win at least 1, if not 2 games in Nashville. So with that being said, he could still accomplish some things. Now, should Auburn already be in the tournament? Yeah, they should have already – that shouldn't even be a discussion. And we've gone through all the scenarios in the games that they blew that they should have won to put them in that position. Can't do anything about that now. You got to just look at what you got ahead of you. And right now you've got one very important game tomorrow that you can really wake some people up or really make it tough on them when it comes time to decision time to keep you out if you go get a win.
I don't think that Bruce talking as much about Auburn and whether or not they should be in this tournament has done any favors for people either looking at Auburn being like, should they be in this tournament? Should they not? I think that is something that him talking about the last couple of weeks has been a little bit.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of that controversy going on too. So, do I believe, or do you believe Bruce Pearl would have coached this team if he had been given the players? He told Cohen he wanted Yachts to carry another point guard. I have no idea, Ed. I would lean yes. But I also think he was ready to go, and I think he had already made his mind up after the Final Four that he was going to leave, but it extended out for whatever reason, and it was delayed in his decision. So everybody can speculate however they want to on why that happened. But I had talked to Bruce Pearl prior to that, and it just felt like if Auburn went to the Final Four, that was going to be his swan song. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things that people don't know. But if he had gotten the players that he wanted, maybe he would have been trying to do that to help Stephen too. If he knew that Stephen Pearl was going to be his successor, that he's like, well, I'm going to try to leave the best team. Like everybody, I've heard so many people say, well, Bruce Pearl got out because he knew this was one of his best teams. And like, did you think you want to leave your son with a, I mean, if he knew that was going to happen, do you really think that's what he wanted to do? So I think they missed on some players. This definitely is a tournament team that may not make the tournament. I'm going to say that as I kind of repeat that. This is a tournament team that may or may not make the tournament. They have the talent to do that. Not saying they're a Final Four team, not saying they're even a Sweet 16 team. They may not even be a dadgum round of 32 team, but they are a tournament team. They can get to the first round. They can make the tournament based on what they had on this roster. Whether they will or not, we'll see. I mean, it starts tomorrow if they're to make that case. Because right now, as it sits, they're not in it.
If you really think about it in the sense of, Bruce and Stephen, from what everyone can see, they've obviously had a relationship that's public and that it seems to be pretty good. I mean, he wanted to hand it over to his son, but no father would set their son up for failure like that publicly and then let them be publicly humiliated and talked about poorly. And so I think Bruce knew that and he said earlier that this team was going to be a roller coaster and it was going to be, a different kind of team and whatever. But I don't in any way think that he purposefully left because he knew, like, oh gosh, this team isn't going to work out. Stephen, this is your time. I don't think that by any means.
Well, and it's a different makeup of this team, and let's not forget what was said at media days. 10, 11 guys thought you were going to be able to rely on, and you're relying on 6 or 7. That totally different from where you thought you were going to be to where you actually are. Okay, we're going to take a break. We are live on location at JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Got a couple of segments left here on the show coming up. Again, thanks to Glenda Mitchell and her entire law firm and team for being our partner here on Everything Auburn Blitz. And we will take a break, and we'll be back with more right after this. Even with deficiencies on this team should – it's going to be the not closing out of games that will be the reason Auburn doesn't make this tournament. Again, Auburn's on the bubble because they put themselves on the bubble. This is not this team is, I think, I haven't asked this question. Do y'all think this team has underachieved, or it's about what you thought it was going to be? Dang sure ain't overachieved, but do you think it has underachieved, or do you think it is about where you thought it was going to be this time of year? I think, didn't we say 9-9 in league play when we were going in to the year? Didn't we say if Auburn got to 500 in league play, that was it's going to be a pretty good year? 10-8, 9-9, something like that.
I have no idea. That's going really far back.
Is that far back?
Wait, like before? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't remember.
I think I've got it written down at home. I think that we all collectively said that, with the schedule and some deficiencies Auburn had, with the lack of big guys.
Wait, were we saying, was this before the season or
Yeah.
before league play that we started this?
Prior to the season starting.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably have it written in my other.
And then we kind of came back and looked at it after we got into the season, and then we looked at SEC play, and we all said, yeah, probably about right. Go 9-9 on this schedule. 10-8 would be great. And you're going to be more like 8-10, 7-11. And it's not going to be good enough if it's 7-11, obviously. Now, if you go win the SEC tournament, you get in automatically.
Could you imagine? What are the chances of that?
I would say with this bench, less than 10% chance.
Okay.
Because you would have to play Wednesday to Sunday without a break. There's no way.
Not a chance.
No. So maybe that was high. 10% may have been high.
Yeah. I was thinking more of like 5.
That was originally my thought. Then I bumped it up 5. And then I was like, then after you said it, I was like, nah, probably right. Should already be in the tournament, but now you're in this situation. So, hey, it is what it is. My Lord.
I do think it's just hard for people that have seen Bruce and what he did, and then you think that the kid's going to be just the exact same way, to just accept the fact that they are different has probably been difficult for some people.
Seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz. 2 segments left here on the show today. We appreciate all of you so very much for joining us here each and every day at noon. And we're live on location today at JR Sports Bar and Grill. I'll say we, because you're here technically through the screen, so you're technically here too, Faith. So we are live on location here at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Come check them out. Great food. I mean, from the chicken fingers to the wings, burgers, all the appetizers. They have salads. They got everything you want here at JR Sports Bar and Grill. So come check them out here in downtown Alexander City. Our program brought to you by J.A. Smith Construction and Excavation and
Sensagreen for air that's cool and clean. Colin Sensagreen.
So let's talk about, I was just looking back at a couple of things real quick to kind of close out the basketball deal and Auburn going to Tuscaloosa tomorrow. How do you approach this if you're Stephen Pearl? If you go over to Tuscaloosa, you lose that game, and then you get in this tournament, the only way you get to the NCAA tournament is by winning it, the SEC tournament at that point. I've had people tell me if Auburn gets an NIT bid, they should decline it. Do you think that's how many guys would opt out of playing in that tournament? That's another thing. At that point in time, postseason is optional. Would you have everybody on this roster decide that they would want to go and play for a few more weeks in an NIT, or do you think it's just best to just cut the cord and then start getting ready for next year? I mean, it's a decision that's going to have to be made.
Yeah. Going to Alabama to play this last regular season game, what do you expect to see from Auburn? And honestly, who do you expect to see? Because again, there are different guys that show up each night. There are different.
I don't have I'd be telling a bold-faced lie if I said Auburn's going to go over and do this, or they're not going to go do this, or this particular player is going to have a great game, or this particular player is not. I mean, I'll use Kevin Overton as an example, and I think he's one of our favorites, both mine and yours. There's a good chance he could go over and score 25. There's also a chance he could go over and score 2. I'm not kidding, because this happened this year. Like, literally go burn the nets up one day, and 3 days later can't hit anything. So it has been so ebb and flow and inconsistent with this team. And there's been no production really offensively from guys underneath. Like Sway's production hasn't been much. Jovic's production, and he's undersized, I get it. Really outside of that South Carolina game, hasn't done very much offensively. So you've had to rely on Keyshawn Hall and Kevin Overton for majority of your points, and then Tahad has had his nights, but the nights he has when he's done well, Auburn hasn't as a team. His best games, points-wise, they've lost except for LSU. So he's been a guy that's, I think everybody agrees, has been out of position this year as a point guard, but he's had no choice but to play it. So I don't know what you're going to get from this team. Does Elijah Freeman show up and score 15 or 18, or does he have a 0 in the column? Boy, it's a crapshoot every single game that you go out there. Now, I will say this. If Auburn takes the effort that it had this past week against LSU to Tuscaloosa, they'll have a chance to win. I really believe that.
Yeah, the energy and the effort is really what I think starts off and sets the tone for the day or the night, whatever it is, and when they come out with either poor energy or just a poor attitude, the game's already been lost, and so.
And we've noticed it. You and I've noticed it. Some nights energy's there, hyped up. You and I've looked at each other and gone, didn't look like they want to be here tonight. I mean,
right.
It just is what it is. So, Tubbs, we're going to go to break on this last TV break, but can you remember what you predicted preseason? I can't remember. So just throw it out there if you can remember. 15 losses. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, so there you go. All right, we'll take a break. One final segment coming up here on the Auburn Blitz right after this. glad I turned my phone off. I looked down and it is 8 billion. This thing would have been dinging the whole time with the show.
The whole time. This dog is snoring and like twitching so bad right now. She's so cute.
Wondered what you were looking at over there.
Yes, just her.
Make sure y'all tune us in tomorrow night for the post-game reaction show. Don't know what that one's going to be like.
This was Lucy this morning. Look at her tongue hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
So cute.
Sleeping good.
You know it. They always do.
Yes. All right, everybody, live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Got one segment coming up here for TV, and hope everybody has a great weekend out there. It's supposed to be a little stormy Sunday, but weather seems like it's turning and nice and warm outside. We have a chili cook-off in Alex City tomorrow that I totally forgot that I was part of. So add that to the list of 822 other things that so we'll see what we can come up with on that. Probably go out and win it this year because we spent so much time prepping last year and finished second. Just throw something together this year and see what we can come up with. All right, 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz final segment here on the show today, and we appreciate all of you so very much. We appreciate Glenda Mitchell and her law firm. Again, partners, everything Auburn Blitz brought to you by Glenda Mitchell and her team. And if you're hurt in a car accident, they come to you. Glenda comes to you personally. 334-617-5694 for free consultations. But, look, she'll give you her personal cell number. I don't know how much more customer service you can get than that when the lady that's at the top of the firm comes to you and says, look, that's how important you are. It's how important you and your family are, that you get what you have coming to you based on whatever settlement or whatever it is. Hopefully none of you are ever involved in a car accident or anybody in your family, but if you are, you got a fighter in Glenda Mitchell. And so we're excited that we are partnered with her and her entire team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's a busy lady, but she's a boss lady. And so really, really lucky to be partnered with her and her team and how much they do for just the Southeast part.
Absolutely. So let's flip over and a little bit of football to close this one out. We talked about it on the podcast this morning. We haven't really talked any football here on the show today. Had all this other to get to that we didn't even get to cover this morning. I told everybody we had a bunch. But look, Byron Brown comes out, just to kind of sum up, Faith, one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country based on not just this list that came out yesterday with ESPN, but multiple lists. And, you know, we saw him as the number 2 transfer portal quarterback according to On3. You also got Tristan Tia on that list at number 8. So Auburn, from a standpoint of preseason hype, a lot of hype around the quarterback room.
Yeah, and that's something that you haven't had the last couple of years, and you haven't had a lot of production from that area. Also, you haven't had an established QB1 in how many years now? That's been something that has, taken up a lot of our time, but also people that are watching saying, all right, who's going to be the quarterback this year? There's another quarterback race. And now it's a race of who's going to be QB2. And that is where you kind of have, I think it's good to have it be your second string with the race of, all right, who's it going to be? Because that means they both really want that position, that role that they're going to be playing, because who knows? I mean, injuries happen, freak accidents all the time. Hope that doesn't happen. But somebody's got to be well prepared and ready to go in if something does happen.
Yeah, it's the fear of every team. And I think, again, it's hard to keep a quality backup on your roster now because of the way the portal is. And if you're a decent player, you're not going to want to sit behind somebody. I mean, you see what Deuce Knight ended up doing, but now he's behind somebody else at Ole Miss. But the bottom line is, if you feel like you can go play somewhere, there is no 2-3 year wait to get your turn. It's just, I'm not saying that doesn't still happen, but it's rare that it happens now as opposed to how it used to be, is that you go and it would be nothing for a team to sign. I mean, Georgia just recently had 3 quarterbacks in their room that were all 4- and 5-star guys. Now, they ended up leaving and going different places, obviously, but they all were there at the same time, and everybody was going, well, obviously they're not all going to play.
Right.
What is their plan? Why did they do that? So I think there is a plan with Tristan Tia with Alex Golesh and his staff. I think they understand that if he can come in here and learn this system and be under Byron Brown this year, and he performs up to the level they expect him to perform, maybe they just move him right into that position, Faith, and then go get another guy of the portal that maybe is not a top portal guy, somebody to come in and fill that second role. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, to close it out, I'm really like what Alex Golesh said, and what I'm most excited about is making it hard, making them learn through it. We've got it set up where there's going to be really, really tough situations. You want them to succeed and know why they succeeded. Just as importantly, you want them to fail and learn why they failed. I think Alex Golesh has a really, really good mindset going into spring practice and a really good setup there. And I'm really looking forward to going to practice and going to just see what the atmosphere is like and all those things.
Same here. Looking forward to it very, very much. And again, we appreciate everybody that tunes us in each and every day here on the show. Again, that's going to wrap us up here live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Come out and see them downtown Alexander City for the best food, best atmosphere around. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with our Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine post-game reaction show following Auburn, Alabama game tomorrow night. So make sure you tune us in right here on YouTube, Facebook, all of those places. For Faith Richardson, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we've enjoyed it. We'll be. I'll see you next time. All right, everybody. Again, we appreciate all of you so very much for tuning us in every day. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. We appreciate it so very much. Hit the like button out there. That helps us so much. Spread the word. We got some new partners coming on here in the next month we're excited about. So we just continue to grow and get bigger. And it's all because of you guys out there that find us each and every day and come to us for your Auburn information. So we know there's multiple outlets out there. We get it. And we know most all of those guys, and we appreciate all of what they do too. And but we give you a different option here at Auburn Blitz, and we're always going to do our homework. We're always going to try to be unique in what we bring to the table and bring you some relevant information. So again, thanks to all of you that choose Auburn Blitz as your first option for Auburn information. Faith, you got anything else before we get off?
No, I just got an ESPN notification talking about North Carolina AT&T men's basketball players have been ruled ineligible, former, for failing to cooperate with NCAA gambling investigation. Interesting. All these gambling things have become.
How much of it really is going on, and how many players are really involved, it's been going on forever, but now with all the different things and the leniency on the gambling rules, that's another thing. Instead of getting harder on gambling, they've made it easier. They've
like,
allowed,
yeah, this you can do.
Yeah, but not this. So
okay, what? Anyway, that literally just came across, and I was
breaking news.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'll let you send everybody out.
Hope everyone has the best weekend. Be safe, be careful, be nice.
Always say something nice. Be good to people out there. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine post-game reaction show right here on the Auburn Blitz.